Can a bike making a claimed 208 horsepower be described as easy to ride? That is the goal for the 2023 Ducati Streetfighter V4S. Ducati has made a lot of updates to this, not only to increase the performance of the bike out on the racetrack, but also to make this just an easier motorcycle for everybody to get along with. So looking at the updates for this motorcycle, what Ducati says is that they've done a little bit in a lot of areas. Okay, so we're gonna start at the basics with the changes. Again, the engine is the same as before. The only change that you're gonna see here is the exhaust. The outlet of the exhaust is just a little bit different size, nothing major there. The only other thing that they have done is change the programming for the cooling fan, so that's going to come on a little bit earlier, should increase comfort a little bit around town. There's also the new tank. It is marginally bigger, but that's not really the goal. This is the tank from the Panigale V4, and what they were trying to do there was make it a little bit bigger, give you a little bit more support under braking, while at the same time making it flatter across the top, so when you're at full lean, you're not having any rough surfaces that you're rolling over with your arms. Overall, just going to be a lot more comfortable, and again, offer that more support. So let's dive into the electronics, because that is the area where Ducati put a lot of attention on this bike. Again, they are borrowing this technology from the Panigale V4, which I think is so cool. You've got 4 riding modes. The newest riding mode is going to be wet. That is the only new mode for this. In those riding modes, you have power modes. You've got full, high, medium, and low. Your full and low are your new power modes for this year. They've also recalibrated the settings for all modes. They have recalibrated the settings for the quick shifter. It's going to be a lot more seamless. There's going to be a lot less of a cut in power when you are shifting. And aside from that, they've actually readjusted the settings so that you have settings tailored towards street riding, and then you've got settings tailored toward track riding. Another big thing is the engine braking. You've got Evo 2 engine braking program from the Panigale V4. It's going to offer a lot more stability. It's calibrated per gear, and it's going to give you a lot better feel and feedback going into a corner. One of the biggest things on this dash is that they have a new Evo track display, and I love the story here because what they have done, this display was originally developed with input from the MotoGP riders for the Panigale. And now it is going from the Panigale to the Streetfighter. The really nice thing about that is it shows you real-time activation of the rider aids. So your traction control, your wheelie control, your slide control. When those systems are activated, it'll actually highlight that rider aid and it'll show you, hey, that system is working. Now on the chassis, there are a couple chassis changes here. The biggest thing is that Ducati has raised the swing arm pivot by 4 millimeters. That's going to give you more anti-squat. They want this bike to finish corners a little bit better, and it's also going to get a little bit more weight up over the front of the bike, and it's going to help the bike steer in a little bit better. So the Streetfighter V4 lineup consists of the base model V4, this V4S that we're going to focus on here today, and the new V4 SP2. With this S, what you're getting is these forged Marchesini wheels. You're getting a lithium battery that is 3.7 pounds lighter, and you're also going to get the electronic suspension. Now this suspension is updated for 2023. You've got increased compression and rebound damping up front, and then you've got increased compression damping out back. Now we should mention that the base model V4, that suspension is the same as last year. The S is the only model that is getting the updates here. Okay, so finally, Ducati has updated the design of this bike a little bit, starting with a new seat. This is going to be a little bit flatter. They said the multi-strata seat is 70 millimeters thick. This one is 60. You're pretty close to the amount of cushion that you're going to get on a multi-strata. These winglets, they are the same winglets as before, and what I think is cool about that is Ducati said that they tried a number of different setups when they were designing this model, and they could not find anything that worked better. So it's really funny. We get to the track here, and it is a 17 corner, 3.1 mile track, and very unique, very technical, and Ducati says, we brought you here for a reason. We want to throw something at you that is really challenging, and that's going to show you how well this bike works. It really is the best performing Ducati sport bike I have ridden in a long time. Now let's get into the handling of it, because I think that is the area where this bike really excels. I love the suspension setup on this bike. There is really great feel. We started off in sport mode, which is going to give you a little bit softer suspension setup. And I think for the casual track day rider or someone who rides at a moderate pace, that setting is going to be great for you. It gives you just enough support without feeling harsh. As the sessions went on, we went up into race, and let me tell you, it changes the dynamic of this motorcycle. It really wakes this thing up, and suddenly it feels like a race bike. Now you do get a little bit firmer settings in that race mode, but without the bike feeling overly harsh. You're just able to push a lot harder, and you're getting that support both under braking and under acceleration out of a corner. As this bike comes from the factory, I don't see anything that you really need to do from a chassis perspective. It works so well. Really great feedback, I would say. The engine in this bike, the Ducati Streetfighter, there's almost nothing bad you can say about this thing, especially out at the racetrack. This is where the thing works so well. What I think is really great about this bike is how user-friendly it is. In sport mode, it's especially linear. It is so smooth as you crack the throttle, doesn't upset the chassis. You just feel like you have a great connection to the engine. Bumping up to race mode, the throttle is a little bit sharper, and that is nice out here on the racetrack. I don't think Ducati has overdone it though. You're not overpowering the chassis, overpowering the suspension, the bike's not lunging forward or anything like that. Ducati has done a great job to make this a very easy motorcycle to get around the track. Now the rest of the electronics package are just further proof of the refinement that Ducati has done, starting with the quick shifter, probably one of the better quick shifters I have ever ridden. That quick shifter programming works so well with that engine braking, and it just rolls right into the corner. No fuss. Again, kudos to Ducati for integrating an electronics package into this bike that just really makes this thing feel seamless and easy to ride around the racetrack. A couple other things on this bike that are not necessarily changed this year, but are still really important to mention. One, let's start with the braking package. The S model here comes with Brembo Stylemma calipers. What I like about this system is that the initial pull of the lever is not overly sharp, but you have so much power and so much feel as you get into the pull. And you can really drop anchor on this bike, no fuss at all. Okay, so if we're going to try and find any faults with this package, I do have a couple, but they are very small. I'm gonna start with the wheelie control system. Overall, I do like the system. I think it makes this bike easier to ride. Without it, I'm absolutely terrified. In level 2, I'm pretty okay with the system. Anything beyond that, there's a little bit less consistency. It comes up pretty quick, sometimes more than I would have expected it to. The S model here comes in at $27,595. The gray narrow paint that we have here, which looks incredibly good, is an additional $200. So again, you are paying for that performance. So I started this by saying, can a bike that makes a claim 208 horsepower be described as easy to ride? I would say yes. I had so much fun on this motorcycle. I could have just ridden another 3-4 sessions. Everything about this bike feels very seamless and easy to manage. It really is one of the best performing Ducatis I have ridden. A really magical bike that has come about because Ducati has this connection to GP, to their Panigale, and now to this Streetfighter V4 S in this case. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what we're doing, hit the like button, subscribe, and if you got any questions about this bike, drop us a comment, we'll get you some answers. Thanks guys.